Sometimes God gives us a dream, and it may even survive the birthing process. Like Jesus, it may be birthed amidst adverse circumstances and only be in baby form.
Joy came and filled the earth at the announcement of the Savior's birth. Born on that night, born in Bethlehem, born to bring life and love to all men.
At this stage, it is very vulnerable and still needs much nurturing and protection through hostile situations until it is fully formed and matured. When Jesus was born, Herod tried to kill him. He was a threat to Herod, just as your dream is a threat to the enemy. It's easy to give up in the early stages of your dream. Overcoming the challenges that arise is part of the battle that we must fight. We must be aware of His purpose and have the persistence it takes to see it through to completion.
I'm gonna keep on dreaming till it becomes reality. I'm gonna keep on dreaming what become a fatality. I'm gonna keep on dreaming this world could be a better place. I'm gonna keep on dreaming the negative picture on erase. I'm gonna keep on dreaming.
For example, a caterpillar changes into a butterfly. The caterpillar isn't particularly beautiful. It is slow and cannot fly. After its transformation, however, it is beautiful and can fly. It is metaphorically born again. First, it builds a cocoon around itself, and then, hidden inside, the makeover begins. Yet, even after changing to be a butterfly inside, it cannot fly. First, it has to wrestle to fight its way out of the cocoon of its own making. If you cut it out at this stage to save the struggle, it will not be able to fly and it will die. This is because the muscle that is developed and strengthened in the wrestle is what gives it the strength to fly once it is strong enough to liberate itself from its encasement. Back to Jesus. After 30 years of growing and developing, Jesus matured. He did many amazing things, but the story doesn't end there. Jesus died.
The Son of God came to this earth, born to die, to give us new birth, suffered torment for you and for me. For our sin He died that we could walk free. Glory and honor to the risen King. Glory and honor, forever I will sing.
And God's dream came to a sudden halt. Just when we think our dream is out of danger and has taken on a life of its own, like Jesus, then comes the unexpected death. Why did the dream have to die? Just when we think that we are well on the way to it reaching its full potential, it runs out of life. After surviving the birthing process, enduring the maturing stages, it suddenly comes to an horrific death. How could this be? What about the fulfillment of the promise, we may ask? Jesus had to die. Mary must have been deeply distressed with his death. She must have had some questions in her heart. What about the fulfillment of the promise? She must have been thinking to herself. Mary had to learn the lessons of persistence. She continued to be obedient by simply following God's directives. Similarly, with us, we don't always know the outcome of following His directives. We only know that we must be obedient and persistent. Even when the outcome is not what we had pictured or hoped for, we must remain faithful. Circumstances may cause us to be totally bewildered, but we must hold on to God's promises. Now, the dream was dead. Jesus died. The dream died. All the prophetic words were buried with him. What happened next must have been met with indescribable emotion and joy. Jesus rose from the dead.
An angel of the Lord rolled the stone away, said to the woman, come and see where he lay. True to his word when he said, I will arise. He's no longer here, he's alive. Risen, risen, risen from the dead. Risen, risen, risen from the dead. Risen, risen, risen from the dead. Risen, risen, risen from the dead.
He was no longer in the grave. The stone was rolled away. The dead had resurrected. God raised Jesus from the dead. Let me encourage you that when you have been given a dream to fulfill and you go through a long birthing and nurturing process only to find that the dream dies, don't give up hope. There is a resurrection coming, but maybe not in the form you expect. When Jesus rose from the dead, not even his close followers recognized him in his resurrected form. When we have done all that we can do and still the dream dies, it is only God who can raise it from the dead. Even with this hope, we must leave it to him to bring it back to life as he sees fit and in the form he desires it to be. Our part is to continue to believe, trust, and have faith in the words Jesus has spoken and wait until he resurrects it.
To have it all, you have to give it all. Leave the past behind. To have it all, you have to give it all. Have a change of mind. To have it all, you have to give it all. Make a brand new start. To have it all, you have to give it all. Have a change of heart. To have it all, you have to give it all. Give it all to Jesus. To have it all, you have to give it all. Make a brand new start.
This is Rosanna Palmer.